Hi, Math 11. We're going to start the final chapter that we're going to cover for this course. Now, a lot of you have submitted the take-home exam. If you haven't, make sure you get that in, and then I'll mark that shortly. Um, so, like I said, this will be the final unit we cover. And then some of you have been asking about the final exam. So the final exam, take-home exam, will be, I think, Thursday, May 28th. I think that's the last scheduled class. Okay, so this will be when we have the final exam. So it'll kind of be in the same format, a take-home version, which will cover everything we did from the beginning of the course. Okay, and so I think we've got about 8 classes left. I think it's 4 weeks. So basically, there's 4 sections of this unit. So I'll cover one section a night, and then we'll have a test on this chapter. And so I'll give you some review before the test, and then we'll have some review for the final exam before we have the final exam. Okay, so it gives you some idea of what we'll be covering. Um, so what I basically want to look at tonight is what is an absolute value function, okay, and how do we evaluate it. So this is kind of the fancy way of putting it. This notation where you have the straight brackets, that's the absolute value symbol. Okay, so it's absolute value basically is kind of like a bracket. It applies itself to what's inside of it. And essentially, what this is saying is, regardless of what's inside the absolute value function, what the function does is it brings it out as a positive. Okay, so I'll give you some examples here. Okay, so here you've got the absolute value of 8, which is just going to be 8. Absolute value of negative 15 is going to be positive 15. Okay, so this gives you an idea of what the absolute value function does. It takes something regardless of whether it's positive or negative, and it brings it out as positive. And to make sense of this, think about how the temperature scale works. Um, what the absolute value is essentially saying is it's basically looking at things in terms of a distance from your 0 point, right? So if you have a number line, and let's say this is your 0 point, and let's say we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's on the right. So just like how we do the graphs, and then on the left, 5, 6, -1. Okay, and so what this is saying is 6 degrees. So think about 6 degrees Celsius. So 6 degrees Celsius is 6 units away from 0. -4 degrees Celsius over here is 4 units away from 0. So it doesn't matter what the sign of the temperature is in terms of how far away it is from 0 degrees. Okay, so that's kind of what the absolute value is doing. So they're always treated the same way as brackets. So just remember your order of operations. Okay, so your order of operations follows what we call bed mass. Right, so brackets are always done first, and then you take care of exponents, and then division or multiplication. Those are kind of interchangeable, and then finally addition, subtraction. Okay, so same idea here. So what this is basically saying then is if we want to evaluate this, what we do is we look at what's inside the brackets first. So you've got -5, absolute value of -5, absolute value of -2. So again, the absolute value function, what it does is it takes the -5, makes it 5 positive, -2 makes that 2 positive. Okay, and the existing subtraction between is still there. and so that gives you 3. Okay, now let's just say stick with this question here. If we had the reverse of this question, let's say we had -2 minus an absolute value of -2 minus absolute value of -5, then this again would be 2. This would be +5, and this would be -3. Okay, so the absolute value just takes into effect what's inside the absolute value bracket. Okay, so what this is basically showing is you can have an answer that involves a question that has absolute values, but still come up with an answer that's negative. Okay, so again, absolute value function only applies itself to what's inside of these straight brackets. Okay, another one here. So again, treat it like a bracket. So don't apply the function yet. So just put those two together, and that gives you absolute value of -6, and then that's going to be +6. Okay, and then this one here, you've got a little bit more going on. Okay, so again, you can do your exponent, so that's going to be 16, and you can do your multiplication, that'll be -30. Okay, so you got -30 and +16, and then what you can do is put those two together, so that gives you -14, and so that's going to give you an answer of 14. Okay, so for tonight's class will be light. I'm going to stop there. I'll have you do these questions from the textbook. I want you to just be comfortable using the notation. We are going to get into equations involving absolute value, and we're going to get into graphs involving absolute value. So that's kind of where things will get a little bit more complicated. Okay, but just have a good grasp of how the function works and be able to identify the function. Again, just a reminder, if you have not handed in your take-home exam, let's try to get that in as soon as possible. Okay, so ideally I'd like to mark those over next weekend. Okay, so let's try to get those in before that if you still haven't gotten it done. And do these questions, again, just let me know if you want me to go over any of these for the beginning of next class, where we'll cover the next section. Okay, so I'll stop there. Again, just make sure you look after yourselves. Reminder of the final exam. So again, the final exam is going to be on May 28th. So it gives you an idea as far as your scheduling for the course. And if you have any questions, just make sure that you continue to contact me. Okay, so stay safe, and I'll talk to you again on Thursday. Okay, bye for now.